thought I would share today's Farmer's Almanac, which is the Tejas Independence Day. um, but here it says, which of the following towns is located in Texas? And assuming these are all towns, Bumblebee, Ding Dong, okay, or why not? And if you're dying to know, the answer is B. You can read it here. Sorry, it's trying to come into focus there. B, which was Ding Dong, name of a real town. Arizona is where Bumblebee is at. Okay is in, oh, okay, Oklahoma. That kind of makes sense. And then North Carolina says, why not? So I thought that was just kind of entertaining. So I thought I would share that with you here. Anywho, let's. I'm gonna go ahead and see which ones are we gonna do first here. I guess from the conversation deck, we're gonna pull a couple cards to get started. So the first card is heart. Okay, so maybe you need to think about your heart in the situation. What is that song? Deep in the Heart of Texas? Oh my gosh. What, maybe this is a reading, maybe, well, you know, it is Texas Independence Day here, so you know what I mean? Ooh, phony is the second card out. So, somebody could have been phony with you. Could have been phoning it in, perhaps. Okay. Also, if you take the P off of phony, you get honey. So, you know, it said bumblebee here was one of the answers, so that might be relevant for somebody as well. Yeah, here it says bell. So if you hear a bell, that might be a confirmation signal for somebody. Again, ding dong was one of the answers here, and then we have the word bell. So for somebody, you could have like an actual doorbell, right, that makes a noise. Um, some people have the flashing, right? Okay. Okay. For folks that can't like hear, they do like the flashing, right? The flashing lights. Let's see here. What else do we have for the collective today? This says, I wish I could come out and say it. So somebody taking up some of your heart space, perhaps somebody on your heart may would like to speak to you. They're having trouble making that heart chakra to throat chakra connection. It's like where it gets that lump in your throat kind of thing, and then they just think like, oh well, I'm just not gonna say anything, you know, it's easier just not to say anything, right? And I've seen some messages lately online that have said, you know, like lay low, like don't post that thing about so and so, blah blah. And it's like, you know, that may be wise advice, however. Okay. However, because so many people have been guided in their time to keep it hush hush, or don't talk about that, or we don't talk about this, you know, and it's like, well, when is a good time? You know, especially when there might be an injustice. So don't let somebody phony talk you, I guess is what I want to say. You know, like giving you lip service. Don't let somebody do that. Okay, this says here, I only want to make you happy. Okay, so Yeah, you might think this person is being phony, but it says here they only want to make you happy. So I guess, take that as it resonates. Maybe you're somebody who's used to people being crummy. So you just automatically assume everybody's phony. This here's saying that they only want to make you happy. This here says, are you dating anyone? Okay, and there's the bell right here. So, somebody could be wanting to get your phone number. They could be all sorts of things. Okay. And I mean, you could saying, are you dating anyone? Because like you could be currently in a relationship, right? Like, you know, I think that's happened to a few of us before, right? It's like somebody's kind of, you know, like trying to get close, and you're like, oh, well, maybe they're, you know what I mean? And, sometimes we turn that part off, right? And we don't think like anyone's coming at us like that. And it's like, oh, they are. And it's not your fault. It's human nature, right? So, don't take offense to it. Don't take it personally in a bad way. Trust me, there's people out there dying to have that kind of attention. Okay, so it says here, why are you so selfish? Okay, so again, this might be your response to this person that's coming out here saying, I wish I could come out and say it. And, maybe your opinion of them is just, different, right? Okay. Hopefully they're not trying to call you that. This says, I can be very jealous and possessive. So they want to make you happy, but they're saying, you know, yeah, maybe that's the phony stuff that they want to drop and be like, look, yeah, I want to make you happy and everything, but hey, maybe I have a jealous streak or I have a possessive streak and I'm working on it. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be phony with you, but, that's just the way it is, right? Things like that. So a collective, especially if they've said things like this to you, that might be part of the reason, right? But really, it's kind of saying that about themselves. It's like they want to be selfish, like with your time, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. And sometimes we just can't give that to people, right? Because you have, a job, you have, a family, you have a career, or, some other kind of life purpose, right? A lot of times people get very jealous. It's kind of that a good, and this is interesting. This came through earlier. There's the movie called The Bishop's Wife, and there's a couple different versions of it. I would highly recommend watching it. I believe it kind of um, gives couples a view of what romantic attention might be like without being like gross. Where so many movies, that's, what it is. It's like the steamy affair or blah, blah, blah. And this is more, like that innocent, childlike, and, kind of reminding you of, maybe why you started, maybe seeing somebody to begin with, right? Okay. Ooh, this says, why are you so thirsty? So, um, this person could be really coming after you kind of hard a little bit. They could have also said this to you. Um, maybe they're in a drier climate. I don't know. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, if you are dating somebody, it's like, oh, you're just the town tramp, right? Blah, blah, blah. But if you're not dating somebody, some people will even call you selfish because you're single, right? Like, oh, well, you're not devoting your time and attention to my little Brewster over here, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm sorry, did your little Brewster ever ask me on a date or even say hello? You know what I mean? Well, no, everybody knows my little Brewster. He's the top of the class. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm not from here. Maybe you're, you know what I mean? Like Texas Independence Day, maybe you're from out of town. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know we were all supposed to bow to who in this situation. Right? Yeah. Some people are like, okay, why not? Right? But other people are saying, hey, ding dong, like maybe you got the wrong thing. Maybe you need to make like a bumblebee and go pollinate a different flower. Understand? So, this why are you so thirsty message, this might even be like a kind of rejection towards this person, potentially because they haven't shown you, um, what maybe is expected, right, out of a healthy relationship, right? Um, and I think it kind of comes back to this thing where it says, I wish I could come out and say it. And it's like, well, maybe they can't verbalize it, but maybe they could write it down. You know what I mean? Or that's why they invented flower delivery service. That's why they have the candy shops. You can go in there and, express your love in the sweetest way available for your sweetheart. You know what I mean? Um, you know, and then if this person is calling you thirsty, because you desire a little romance, they might need to kind of check their objectives as well as to, what they're trying to get out of the partnership. So, again, and it has this, I only want to make you happy. So, there could be some like kind of miscommunication here in this situation. I'm not gonna say, tear the whole thing down, light the match, let's go. Um, might be one of those things where um, yeah, see, and this person is having doubts currently because it says you can do better than me. I feel like they know there are trials and tribulations happening. So I feel like some of this is them kind of turning it back on you to try and say like you're not fulfilling your purpose because you're not going for better and not having this grass is greener thing like they are. Okay, is what I want to say. Because I feel like this person is kind of a grass is greener type thing. And that's part of this, are you dating anyone? Like they're going to be, it's like they don't want to believe you if you say no. So it's like, well, why are you asking then, right? But part of that is this, it's coming through this, I can be jealous and possessive. And it's like, they want to make sure there's nobody else before, they come in, right? Okay. So again, if you're giving your time other areas and they want that love now, 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 yeah, they're gonna have it, um, you know, feeling like it's interrupting their mojo. Okay. That's what I'm getting right now. Okay. So, I think I might just have to title this reading Spring Fever. Spring Fever romance section. And also we do have a full moon coming through tomorrow, and there is an eclipse visible in some parts of the world. So this may be significant also where this person is feeling like if they don't act now, it's that kind of like the hormones are getting into them. Like, it's like when you're looking at whoever you're sitting next to at, at school or your job, and, they're just kind of, you know what I mean, like really agitated that day, like abnormally, and you're kind of like, what got into you today? Like, did you have too much coffee or something? It's kind of like that, where it's bugging them, but it's not bugging you. And that might be why this phony card came out, because you're kind of like, if I detect that it's not honey and it is phony, then I am going to abandon ship. And I feel like that is ding, 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 the bell. That's the message for this reading. So, obviously, the ball is always in your court, collective. A lot of people like to give their power away in the situation, um, hoping for a different result, but that doesn't always occur, does it? Okay. So, when you think about somebody who, maybe wants to be jealous and possessive, or wants to be selfish with your time, you might want to think, well, why? Why do they want me to stop doing, why do they want me to stop going to the gym? Why do they want me to stop going to work? Why do they, what I mean? Some of these things you might really need to consider with the utmost of discernment, because especially if you're not married, if you're just casually dating, and it's like, well, these are some pretty big decisions that can impact your future. So the whims of somebody who all of a sudden, the Romeo, right? Romeo, wherefore out there, Romeo, and Romeo's like, I'm here, I just got over Rosalind last week, right? you know And then by the end of the story, they're drinking poison. Like, what? What? How did this go so wrong so quickly? Um, so a collective, just keep that in mind. You know, where, this message says, I only want to make you happy. What is that song from the 80s or 90s? It's like, I'm the one to make you happy. Dun, 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 dun. I only want to ever feel this way. I love you so much, I lose track of time, lose track of the day. Going out of my mind, going crazy. Out of my mind, going crazy. Getting nothing but good loving. Ain't what you got, it's what you give. All right, that is the name of the song. Ain't what you got, it's what you give. Okay, so this is kind of maybe when somebody says, why am I selfish? Why are you selfish? You know what I mean? It's like, because this could be somebody too that just like tries to show up in their car and stuff and be like, oh, look at me, and it's like, yeah, well, I got one of those too. What do you want to do? What? So were you trying to drag race somebody? Like, what? You know what I mean? And it's not like you're trying to put somebody down, but it's like, if that's what they were trying to do to you, to like try and one up you, it's like, you know, that's great when you already have $100 in your pocket, but what happens when you only have $1 in your pocket? How do you act then? How are you until payday? You know? Or are they the type to quit that job and go storming off, and you know what I mean? And it's like, well, start to run out of options here. If I was you, I might reconsider. So I would just think about that, collective, a little bit when this person comes towards you, especially if they come towards you with this kind of attitude of like, you know, you're not giving enough to me, but like why do you want my time? You know, I mean, it's like they want you to dedicate your life to them, but then they want to turn around and call you thirsty if you like want to spend an evening together, like watching some movie that you've been wanting to watch, right? You know, it just kind of reminds me of the situation where it was in, and I realized it's like, yeah, this is not kind of partnership I want, because you know, it was one of those things when it was something that he wanted to do. It was like I was like, oh well, what about this from for schedule standpoint, and he didn't care. But if I was going to meet one of my girlfriends for cocktails for happy hour, after I had worked all week, putting the roof over my head and his head for that matter, then he wanted to be like, ugh, why you gotta do that? Trying to make me feel bad about it. And it's like, now wait a second. When you wanted to go out, you know what I mean, and do your thing, you committed to it without even figuring out the plans, right? But here I am having, crossed every T and dotted every I and wanting to give me grief about it. Like, who are you again? So, uh, food for thought, collective. Okay. So, hopefully you enjoyed that allegory. Try and keep it real over here, you know what I'm saying? Because there is a lot of phony balonies out there, isn't there? And it is kind of your job to, this I only want to make you happy. This is what they should be saying in their mind when it comes to a relationship with you, right? Not I'm here to, have you ever seen the Tinder profiles and they're like, I'm looking for the person who's gonna ruin the rest of my life, and I'm like, ooh, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be swiping on that one, but I hope they get some therapy, like, not for me. Not for me. Anyway, um hello there in the chat. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. So this is a quick read, getting into the energy for this full moon, and I just thought this is my little farmer's almanac, you guys. You can see here. It says get seasonal advice at almanac.com. Um, anyway, so another wall calendar also, but I really do like the daily here because it has like kind of some trivia and just you know things relative to today's date in history. Anyway, until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.